Masechta bava basra daf mem amar halef. We're starting from Lamates Amid Beis, 4 lines from the bottom. Tony Bar Kapora. Bar Kapora had learned from the Braise Ire. If the Baal HaKarka was Me'arer, he was Meicha in front of Edom at the end of 3 years. And then after 3 years again, Chazav Ira, at the end of the 3 years, he did it again, like we learned before in Chazav Ira. He made a macho again. If the Irurim, these machois, were the same tainas that he ate, that his taina was that person ate from his field begazlanos, so then ein loy chazaka, then the machzik who's trying to make a chazaka doesn't have a chazaka because he was meicha. But if the tainas that the Baal HaKarka gave the first time, saying that he said that the person who's being machzik there has eaten from the field begazlanos, and then the second time he says no, he was allowed to be there. Just I borrowed money from him. I gave him my field as a mashkin to be able to deduct from. And the deal was every year he deducts part of the chayv till he finishes paying up the chayv, and then till he finishes taking from the produce of the field to pay up his chayv, and then he'll give me. He was supposed to give me back the field, but the field was never his. So now he's contradicting his first taina. And the halacha is yesh chazaka. Then the person who was machzik has a chazaka, because since the second taina that he gave was mevatel the first taina, so it's as if he made a chazaka even more than 3 years, because even the first taina, the first macha, wasn't a true macha. He contradicted that the first macha. When one gives a macha b'fnei shnayim, it's done in front of 2 people in order to be mabatel the chazaka. You don't have to be meicha in front of 3 people. And the person who's making the achar doesn't have to tell the Edom to write the shtar. They're allowed to do it on their own because it's a schus for him. And the halacha is, once it's a schus, it can be done even not in front of him. Zach l'adam shlei b'fanav. It's the same thing, Maidah. If somebody was being forced to sell or to give away his property, and he gave a notification to Edom that he wants to be mevatel this action that's happening. He doesn't want that they should. He doesn't really want to give away his field. He doesn't want to sell his field. That's what he tells him. He says in front of the Edom, and the Rashbam explains this madah only helps to be mevatel the kinyan only if it was done before he actually gave away the field or sold the field. Because if he did the maidah after, then we say no. It could be that he really gave it as a matana or he sold it willingly. Now he wants to retract from what he did. So we're talking about the maidah was done before he actually sold the field or gave it away as a matana. B'fnei shnayim, he did it in front of 2, and you don't need 3 people. And he doesn't have to command the Edom to write such a maidah. They could do it on their own because it's a schus for him. It's a merit that he should have a maidah to be able to be mevatel what he had sold or what he had given away. And zachladim shlei b'fanav. So to Vahidah, where one is made that he owes money to Reuben, is made that he owes money to Shimon, b'fnei shnayim, and he admitted in front of 2 Eidim. So he has to be, in order to the Edom to write such a shtar, he has to be able to tell the Edom to write it. And if not, they're not allowed to write it, because then it's a chayv for him. It becomes a bad thing for him, because if they would write it, if it would be written on shtar with Edom, then the halacha is anything that was written with Edom could only be paid back with Edom. And it could be that he paid back without Edom. He was made and then he paid back later, but it was without Edom, and then we won't trust him because of the shtar. And also, shtar is a problem by writing a shtar because it's mishabed, his nechasim. So therefore, they cannot write it without his consent, without him telling them to write it. Kinyan of chalipin, a kinyan suda b'fnei shnayim. It could be done in front of 2 Edom. And the makna, the one that's being makna, his let's say so he's taking the chamer, he's being makna his para to his friend. So in such a case, he doesn't have to write. He doesn't have to tell the Eidim to write it. No, they're allowed to write it without his command and give it to the Kaina. Says so the Rashbam says the Rava could have been Kaila all three dinim, Macha, Maida, and Kinyan, that it has to be done with Shnayim, and they don't have to command the Eidim to write it. The Eidim can write it on their own. So why were they written in separate cases? The answer is because he said these dinim in the name of Rav Nachman, and Rav Nachman did not say them one day. So every din that he heard, he stated it as a separate din, and then afterwards Rava retracted, and only afterwards the Rava chazed each din separately, and that's how it was accumulated, but not that it was all said as one. Sagt die Yimad V'Kiyim studies, and the Kiyim of studies the Dayan right with Seif Hashtag that that a person who doesn't want to have to worry later, that if the person will be meicha, if a person wants to avoid from later on and somebody saying that the star is false, and then we'd have to look up before Eidim. So by Kiyum Shtaris they were mishakim that the person can come in with the star with the Eidim, and Bezdin on the bottom will write a handpick, a seal that the two Eidim came, sat before us, verified the story and their signatures, and that's it. So that can only be done with three people, because if you have two Dayanim, then we would say it's just like two Eidim testifying about another two Eidim. The Rashbam says in such a case it won't help. They're not allowed to sign as a kiyum. In order that it should be a real kiyum, it has to be three. And the three is nashov like a bezdin, so that's where they have the power for the future. If somebody will claim it's false, that they could say it was already verified with this empik. But another just two Eidim would be just like another testimony which you could rebut. Zok Yimad Simen Mamhak. The Simen, these issues are the four things which Rav Nachman said that you don't need to have in front of three people. Mamhak is mem, is machah. The second mem is maida, and the hey is hoida, and kuf is the word corresponds to kinyan. Rava said, "Ikashili, if I had a question on any of these dinim that Rav Nachman said, hakashili, this is the din that I had a kasha. Hi kinyan, hey chidami. This kinyan upon which Rav Nachman paskin that you could do b'fnei shnayim." And they can write a star even without the tzivui of the makna. So he says, I have a question on that. If you say the edis on the kinyan have the power like bezdin, just like the yonim could take from one person a property and give it to another person, so too the edah kinyan through their testimony could take it out from the shus makna and give it into the shus hakena. So then it's understood, since they have the power like Bezdin, that's why Rav Nachman paskin that the Eidim could do a lot of right to star without the tzivui of the makna, because they have the power of Bezdin, like any mice of Bezdin, the Yonim are allowed to write without the command of the one that's being mischayiv himself. So if they have the power of Bezdin, the Bayit Lasa, then we should require three Eidim for kinyan, and Eloi K'Masa Bezdin Dami, and if they don't have the power like Masa Bezdin, so that's why Rav Nachman Paskin could have it in front of two Eidim. So why did Rav Nachman say that they can write it on their own without the tzivui of the makna? L'cheira, if they don't have the power of Bezdin, they're not allowed to write it. Only Midas HaMeschayv, only Midas HaMakna. Everything. After Rava asked this question, he himself answered the question. Really, they don't have the power of Bezdin. Over here, what's the reason they that the Eidim don't have to be commanded by the one that's being mischayiv to write the star? Why could they write the star without the tzivui of the makna or the mischayiv? Mishum destan kinyan liksiva. When it comes to a kinyan of kinyan chalipin, Minastam, the person who's doing the kinyan chalipim wants to give it with a good eye, because the kinyan chalipim makes the kinyan happen much faster than a regular kinyan. A regular kinyan you need meshicha or chazaka, meshicha by metalton or chazaka by kakois. Here it seems like he wants to be makneh with a good eye and finish it immediately. So minastam, if he's giving it with a good eye, he had in mind also that it should be written, this Ma'asakin should be written in the shtar. Rabbi Yosef, Rabbi Yosef both said, like Hasid Maidah, the Eidim do not write a shtar Maidah. Ella Aman, the Lord says Ladina, only on somebody who doesn't listen to a din Torah. But it's somebody who is ready to listen to a din Torah, we don't write a shtar Maidah. A shtar Maidah means a shtar notifying that he was coerced, he was forced. If the person listens to Bezdin, then you don't write a shtar Maidah. He was able to stop being coerced by calling him to a din Torah, and he listens to Bezdin. So why didn't he take him to din? So obviously, if he did sell it to him or he did give it as a matana, it was done willingly, because he was able to stop it himself by bringing him to a din Torah. And he's a person that listens to din. And Abai would always say, even if it's a person who listens to a din, the din Torah, nevertheless, you do write a shtar Maidah for such a person, because there's at times that when he's forcing him, he would come to Bezdin, but there was no Bezdin ready to take him this din. Therefore, you could give a Maidah, he could give a Maidah and have a shtar Maidah written so that he should be able to go to Bezdin and show what happened. In the Bnei Hadoi said, Kol Maidah, the lakes any shtar Maidah which is not written, Ananya, Didim Bey, going to the Plania, that we know exactly of this Eines, La Maidah, then it's not going to be considered as a shtar Maidah. In fact, what does it mean that on which, meaning on whom was it said, this Haidah of Maidah? If you're talking about a get and a matana, that he's warning that he doesn't want to give the get or he doesn't want to give the matana. So, in fact, what do I need? Why do the Eidim have to actually know about this this coercion? It's enough by him letting them know that he doesn't want to give it. By get matana, you don't need Eidim to actually know that there was a coercion here. Just the etzem zach, he's being idea that he doesn't want to give it. So that alone is enough of a raya that it was done by enough. We could accept his words as is. There's no need for them to know exactly what happened, how that there was mamish bainas, because we're not talking about something by a get that is a loss. If he's telling them he doesn't want before the get is given, he's being idea them, that should be enough. But if it's a zvine, yeah, Eidim have to know actually of the einus. That's different, because we have to be concerned if it wasn't a real coercion. Maybe he's playing games. He wants to sell it to get because he needs money now, and he wants to have a shtar Maidah. He just wants to tell Eidim before he sells it that he really doesn't want to sell it. So in the future, when he has the money, he'll be able to take back the karka. So that's not good enough by him telling the Eidim. The Eidim have to know about the coercion itself, because then we have to be concerned. If the Eidim don't know about it, we have to be concerned that this guy is playing games. He needs money now, so he sells it. He also tells Eidim, and even though the Eidim don't know what's going on, he just tells the Eidim that it was before he sells it, he's being coerced to sell, forced to sell it, so that in the future, when he does have money, he should be able to take back the karka. Like you might know, by Zvine, no. Rabbi said, we don't even write Ashtar Maidah on the Zvine. You don't write Ashtar Maidah on the Mechira. Why? Because if they force them to sell a specific field, so the Eidim that saw him that being forced, they'll be mevatel the Mechira. And if they said, we're forcing you to sell us one of your fields, and he picks a field which he wants and should be sold, then the Shtar Maidah doesn't help to be mevatel the Mechira. Because in such a eifin, This is anus ala mechira. This is considered as if he was forced. It's not considered as he was being forced because he was by him choosing a field. By him choosing a field shows that he's doing it willingly. Again, by Shtar Matana, he's not getting anything in exchange for it. But Masha'inkin, by Zvine, the Shtar Maida is getting an exchange that later on he's going to be able to take back the field. So on this, Rabbi is, we don't write a Shtar Maida when it comes to a sale. When it comes to a sale. Okay. Really, we do write a shtar. We're talking about zvine, a sale, and there is a case where we do write a shtar maida. Rava agrees that the Adam can write a shtar maida where he was forced, like the story of the orchard. There was this person that Reuven lent money to Shimon, and Shimon gave in exchange his orchard that the person should be able to eat from the produce of the orchard for 3 years in order to pay back the chayv. After the malva ate 3 years without a macha, he ate 3 years of chazaka, ama. So the malva says to the owner of the pardes, or the owner of the orchard, if you're going to sell me the orchard out of your own will, mutav is good. If not, I'll conceal the shtar mashkin, and nobody will know that it was a mashkin that I was supposed to get paid back from the produce of this orchard. And I'll say, look, that I bought it because you were never beicha, and I had 3 years of chazaka. So in such a case you're allowed to write Abshtam Aidah. How will the Adam know that he was cursed? So he's going to tell the Adam, listen, I'm going to come to this guy, to the Malva, and I'm going to ask him for my orchard back. And you will hear how he says, he will tell you, no, the karka was bought and I had 3 years of chazakah. And then quietly I'll go to the Malva and I'll say, okay, I'm asking, sell. And then there'll be a shtar mechira, and he'll write him a shtar mechira. Now, there's a shtar meidah before, because the Adam heard how he said that he owns the karka because he has 3 years of chazaka, and then we'll prove him to be a liar because later on, quietly, they're going to do a mechira, and he's going to have a shtar mechira that comes after the shtar meidah. In such a case, we do write a shtar meidah. This matana, a hidden matana that was given hiddenly, when the matana cannot get matana because we have to be concerned. Maybe he already was makna to somebody else. He just wanted to do like a favor and to the makabel to make him look like he's doing him a favor, and that's why he's giving him a matana hiddenly, because it doesn't belong to him, or he has a mind to make it like a shtar meidah, that later on when he sells it to another person, he's going to be able to say, that really I sold it previously in a hidden way to somebody else, so that will be mavat of the later sale. How is it a case of a hidden matan? He says to Zilu, go hide and write the shtar matana about my karka. Others say that the shtar matana is like this. Matanta Tmir is like this. Said the nice and the one that's giving the matana didn't tell the Adam, taste with the shuka beveriyasa, sit here in the marketplace in the streets, and write the shtar matana. He didn't command them that. So since he didn't tell them to write it in an open place where everybody could see it, he only said stam. So then it's considered as a hidden matana. What's the difference between the first gissa that he told them to go hide and write up the shtar, or the second gissa he didn't tell them to write it out in the marketplace? The chiluk will be the one that is giving the matana. He told them to write a shtar stam, and he didn't tell them that they should to hide themselves. So according to the first Yisr, it's considered a star begali, and therefore the star is a kosher star, because he didn't tell them to hide and write up the star. But according to the second Yisr, the star is possible, because he didn't specifically tell them to go write it out, write up the star in the marketplace. That this matana tmuna, this hidden matana, is considered as a meidah to be mevatel a later star that he'll write out a star matana to be mevatel that star matana or the star mechira. That this hidden star could be mevatel a later star that he's going to give away a star matana or a star that he's going to sell the pill. This Hira of Rava that he says this hidden star matana helps as a meidah, as a notification that that in the future it's going to, that whatever is going to get sold or given away as matana it's a meidah that he was being forced, or it's not a real sale, or it's not a real matana. He didn't explicitly say it. Only he learned it out of another din of Rava. Now, who got it? There was this person who went to be Mekadosh a woman. She said to him, if you write a star matana giving away all your nechasim, then I'll be your wife. And if not, I'm not going to be your wife. And the guess is he went and about to write the star of all his nechasim to this woman. His oldest son came Amalei. He said about himself, that person, what's going to be with him? So then the father said, Lesade to the Edom, Zilu itmeiru. Go hide yourselves. Maybe Yamina on the right side of that place. The kisu and write the star matana of all my nechasim to my son. And they did exactly like that. And then they wrote the star matana for his wife, and he gave it to her. They came before Rava. Not the ben is not koina because the nechasim was given as a matana tmuna. The isha is not koina because the matana tmuna serves as a meidah against to be mevatel the later matana that he gave the woman. Meaning the matana that the tmuna, the hidden matana that he gave to his son was written earlier, and then he gave the matana to the isha, even though it was done begili, it was mevatel the matana tmuna. So one who saw the psak din of Rava would have thought that he was mevatel the matana. The matana tmuna was mevatel matana that was given to the isha. Mishum dahavi meidah lechaveta, because the matana tmuna serves as a meidah, as a notice against the later matana. It's not true. There, it was so obvious that it was only because he was being coerced that the husband wrote that this man wrote the whole shtamatana, the shtamatana of all his nechasim to this woman. And he didn't really intend to really give it all to her. So in such a case, we say, that's why Rava said that the shtar hamatana, which was done hiddenly, will serve as a meidah. But here, in a regular case, it could be the one of them, the one that received the matana in a revealed way, he wants to be makneh to him, and the one that received it in a hidden way, he doesn't really want to be makneh to him, and that's why he gave it to him as a matana tmuna. And therefore, matana tmuna in such a way will not help to be mevatel a matana geluya, because maybe Dafke wrote matana tmuna because he never intended to give it to him, and the matana geluya that he gave later, that's the person that he really wanted to give it to. What's the din in the case where the one that gave the Edom Bistam Ashtam Matana, he didn't tell them to hide themselves? What din does it have? Ravina Amalei Chashina, we're not concerned that maybe it was really given as a Matana Tmuna, like the Ikadami had said, that they're concerned that he has to say, sit here and write the star in a marketplace, and since he didn't say it, we have to be concerned that he wanted to give it only as a Matana Tmuna, only as a hidden Matana. So Avina says we're not concerned like that. Avashi says we are concerned that it was written as a matana tmuna, and the halacha is we are concerned for a matana tmuna even in such a case. And the Taka, the Rashbam brings that that you cannot collect, the Makabah cannot collect these nechasim that he was given in such a way, only if the Aiden write in the Shtar Matana. This is what the Noisin said: write the Matana in the marketplace and sign it outside in the street. But he brings down if the halacha was paskin that we should be concerned for a matana tmuna, even in the case where he says stam to write it, the chacham were misakin to write a stam matana in this lashon, and the minhag was nispasha that way, that they should write that if the noisim didn't say to the edim befeidish yichlas matana b'shmakim v'chayves, if the noisim didn't say specifically to write it in the marketplace or in the streets, you have to say min hastam. His kavanah was that they should write a matana ksheda like the chacham were misakin, and they could write in the shtad that it was written in the market and it was written to, in the sign in the streets. Okay.